Have you ever felt that everything seems fine on the outside, but something inside feels heavy, silent, hard to explain? Imagine someone who smiles at the world, fulfills their responsibilities, seems strong, but behind that smile lies an old pain, an accumulation of resentments that has never truly been left behind. Have you ever experienced this? What you are about to discover may surprise you. There is an emotional poison that you may be ingesting every day without realizing it. It has no smell, no color, and leaves no visible marks at first. But it corrodes. This poison is called resentment, and it acts so profoundly that many people only notice its effects when their body starts screaming through tension, fatigue, anxiety, or that constant feeling of being emotionally drained. And as you reflect on this, you might realize you're not alone on this journey. Many people carry similar pains, stories never spoken aloud, emotions the body continues to hold on to, even when the mind tries to forget. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has touched you most so far. I really want to know. Reading about what you feel, what you've experienced, helps build a community of people seeking the same thing: lightness, awareness, and emotional healing. And if you're here because this topic resonates with something within you, take the opportunity to like the video. It may seem like a small gesture, but it helps this message reach other people who may be suffering in silence. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and continue to bring profound content like this. And of course, if you feel you want to continue this journey with me, subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss the next reflections and discoveries we'll build together. Because when we connect, share, and support each other, the process of understanding our emotions becomes easier. And it is precisely from this exchange that we move on to the next part, where we begin to unravel. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we talk about resentment, many people still think it's an exaggeration, drama, or just too sensitive. But the hidden truth is that this silent feeling has a real impact on the body, almost like an invisible backstage that controls energy, mood, and even the way you make decisions in your daily life. This isn't just theory. Studies show that unresolved emotions directly affect hormones, deregulate the immune system, and alter sleep patterns. It's as if the body is always in a state of alert, trying to protect itself from something that has already passed, but which emotionally remains alive. And the most curious thing is that many people live like this without realizing it. They wake up tired, thinking it's just stress. They feel tightness in their chest, thinking it's just anxiety. But deep down, there's this accumulation of resentment that shapes their mindset, reduces emotional clarity, and influences even small everyday reactions. Resentment is subtle, almost strategic. It hides among thoughts, interferes with how you see people, and creates a kind of emotional filter that weighs more and more heavily. When we understand this, we begin to realize that it's not just about letting it go, but about recognizing the impact of this burden on your inner journey. And as this understanding deepens, something within us begins to make room for new revelations, new interpretations of history itself. Comment below. That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because to understand the impact of resentment, we first need to understand what it really is. Many people believe that resentment is simply remembering something bad that happened, like revisiting an old memory. But the hidden truth is much more intense. Resentment is the sum of pain, repetition, and silence. This is when an emotional wound doesn't heal because every time you think about it, your body reacts as if it's all happening again. It's not just remembering what happened, it's reliving the same emotion as if it were happening today. This is the point that almost no one realizes. The mind tries to move on, but the body continues to relive the impact of that story. And when this repeats itself day after day, without you expressing it, without you processing it, without you giving new meaning to the experience, resentment takes deep root. It subtly shapes your mindset, influencing small decisions, altering how you see relationships, and even distorting the behind-the-scenes aspects of your emotional journey. It's like carrying a pain that doesn't scream, but whispers constantly, And the more you try to let it go, the stronger it becomes in the subtext of your behavior, in your automatic thoughts, in your interpretations of the world. There's a kind of emotional loyalty to the past, and it prevents inner transformation. Part of you wants to move on, but another part insists on returning to the same point, repeating the same cycle, the same feeling, the same weight. And when we understand this dynamic, we begin to realize that resentment is not just an unpleasant feeling, it's a mechanism that tries to protect, but at the same time imprisons. It keeps you trapped in a time that has already ended, but which remains active within you, waiting to be truly understood. Write that down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we say that resentment settles in the body, that's not poetic metaphor. It's pure physiology. The body has an impressive capacity to memorize the pain. Even when you believe you've rationally overcome it, every unexpressed emotion leaves a trace, almost like a silent record that continues to influence your energy, your mood, and even how you react to common everyday situations. The hidden truth is that the body doesn't differentiate between past and present. It responds to what you feel, not to what you tell yourself. And that's where resentment acts as an invisible toxin. When you relive that emotion repeatedly, the body releases cortisol as if it were facing a real threat. Muscles become tense, especially shoulders, neck, and jaw, creating a kind of emotional armor that weighs more than it seems. Gradually, this constant tension begins to generate emotional inflammation, an internal state in which you feel more reactive, more tired, more vulnerable to small frustrations. It's a silent, but profound impact that alters your mindset and shapes even the behind-the-scenes aspects of your decisions. All of this raises an important question. What is my body trying to tell me? Because when an emotion repeats itself in the body, it's not just happening. It's asking to be seen, understood, transformed. And the more you observe these signs, the more you realize there's a conversation happening internally, even when you try to ignore it. And by opening up this space of perception, you begin to see that your body doesn't want to punish you. It wants to warn you. It wants you to recognize the origin of this pain that keeps returning so that you can finally break the cycle. Write this down. That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when resentment begins to manifest in the body and behavior, it rarely appears with a clear name. It doesn't arrive saying, "Hi, I'm the accumulated bitterness you've ignored for the past few years." It disguises itself. Often the first sign is that irritability that arises out of nowhere, as if any detail is enough to throw you off balance. Or that feeling of heaviness in your body, as if you were carrying something you can't explain. Constant tiredness also tends to appear. No matter how much you sleep, it never seems to be enough. And then there are those pains with no apparent cause, tension that doesn't go away, discomforts that come and go, ailments that doctors can't find a physical reason for. It's as if the body is telling a story that the mind insists on not listening to. Emotional cynicism is also a strong sign, that suspicious look at everything, the difficulty in trusting people, the tendency to always expect the worst. Often the person doesn't even realize they've become colder, more distant, more reactive. They just say, "I'm stressed." But in reality, what's happening is an accumulation of old resentment, a hidden truth that has been shaping their mentality and influencing the behind-the-scenes aspects of their emotional journey. It's curious how the body speaks before consciousness. It gives clues, sends signals, tries to warn that there's something unresolved demanding attention. And when you start observing these details honestly, you realize that none of it is random. There's an emotional impact behind it, a piece of your history wanting to be seen. Sometimes, the greatest transformation begins when you finally admit what you've been trying to avoid. Comment below. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding why it's so difficult to let go of resentment is essential to breaking this silent cycle that repeats itself within so many people. Resentment, however strange it may seem, creates a false sense of security. It's as if the brain believes that by keeping the memory of the pain alive, It's protecting you from repeating the same mistake. There's a hidden logic to this. If you don't forget, you won't get hurt again. But this emotional strategy comes at a very high price. It traps you in an old version of yourself. The hidden truth is that the brain functions as a guardian of survival, not happiness. It registers pain as an alert, and every time you feel something similar, it rekindles the entire story, even when it no longer makes sense. That's why resentment returns in waves, not because you want it, but because there's an automatic mechanism trying to protect you. But this protection transforms into a burden you carry daily, shaping your mindset, influencing your decisions, and even distorting how you interpret new relationships. And that's where one of the deepest emotional triggers in this process emerges. You are not trapped by the past is trapped by you. He clings to the memory because he believes he needs to continue existing to avoid future wounds. But at the same time, this past prevents you from living the present lightly. It creates an emotional shadow, a silent backdrop that accompanies every step of your inner journey. When you realize this, something inside you begins to stir. It's not about forgetting, it's about understanding the impact this memory has had without you realizing it. And this revelation opens up space to question more deeply what really needs to be transformed. Comment below. That makes sense to me. This is where many people begin to realize that the body speaks even when the mouth is silent. Insomnia first appears as a bad night's sleep, then as a pattern. The mind doesn't shut down because something inside you hasn't been resolved, hasn't been named, hasn't been truly faced. And the most curious thing is that, on the outside, everything seems normal. But inside, it's like carrying a backpack full of invisible stones. No one sees them, but you feel the weight all the time. And this weight settles in the most unexpected places. Migraines become a persistent alarm. No matter the medication, the strong coffee, the dark room. It seems like your body is trying to warn you about a hidden truth that you insist on postponing. Gastritis, on the other hand, is that silent reaction to what you swallow emotionally. Situations, words, decisions that you let pass just to avoid conflict, but that now burn inside, slowly corroding your peace. It's amazing how the stomach holds secrets that you yourself tried to forget. Chronic tension arrives like a rigid armor, locked shoulders, clenched jaw, shortness of breath, as if the body were always preparing for an impact that never comes. And this drains energy, distracts, messes with your mindset, alters your small daily choices. When you realize it, that tension has become part of your identity, but it shouldn't be. And while all this is happening, immunity drops. The body weakens because it's expending too much energy, holding back emotions that never had space to breathe. It's as if it's saying, I can't fight on two fronts at the same time. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding these signs is only the beginning of real transformation. Each symptom has an emotional backdrop that no one taught you to decipher, and that's where the journey begins to become truly revealing. Comment below, that makes sense to me. When we talk about resentment, many people imagine something light, almost harmless, like a bad thought that pops up now and then. But in reality, it acts like a silent shadow that consumes vital energy without asking permission. It's not about religion. It's about the inner strength that drives your decisions, your creativity, your presence in the world. Resentment is like a fog that settles between you and what could be your next phase of transformation. It doesn't scream, but it weighs you down. It doesn't show, but it limits you. And the more you try to move forward, the more you realize that something is pulling you back. A memory, a stored pain, a hidden truth you didn't want to face. Unforgiveness works behind the scenes of the mind, blocking its clarity. You try to think with focus, but there's always an emotional noise that distracts you. You try to create, but inspiration seems weak. It's as if joy is trapped behind a door you closed without realizing it. And that door only opens when you have the courage to let go of what you were holding onto so tightly, even if it's no longer part of your life. Resentment slowly steals your purpose because it consumes the very energy that should be used to build your journey. And the most curious thing is that the person who hurt you often goes on with their life normally, while you carry this heavy baggage inside. It's a cruel paradox. What hurt you continues to live freely, and you remain trapped in what should have already been dissolved. Forgiveness, in this sense, is not about absolving anyone of guilt. It's about freeing yourself from the shackles that corrode your brilliance. When you don't forgive, you remain tied to the story that hurt you, as if you were reliving the same scene day after day, even without realizing it. And this repetition wears down the soul, drains the color from everyday life, and exorcises your motivation. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because there comes a point where resentment ceases to be just an emotion and begins to shape who you believe you are, influencing choices, paths, and even the way you see the world. Write this down. On this journey too. And when we reach this point, something important begins to happen. You realize that letting go of resentment isn't a grand act, nor a dramatic leap. It's an intimate, almost silent process, like adjusting your own mindset to see yourself more honestly. Many people think that releasing resentment means erasing what happened, but that's an illusion. What really matters is recognizing the pain for what it is, without turning it into an eternal sentence. Naming the pain, without judgment, is the first step, because when you give form to what you feel, the feeling ceases to dominate you from the shadows and becomes something you can observe more clearly. After that, there's a powerful exercise. Writing two versions of the same story, the real one and the one your emotions tell you. The first is the sequence of events. The second is the internal impact, the emotional narrative you created from the wound. Between these two, there's usually a huge distance, and it's precisely there that you find profound revelations about how your brain tries to protect you. This type of writing isn't about reliving the past, but about reorganizing the hidden truth you've unknowingly kept. When you put it on paper, you take it out of your body. And this simple decision begins to open space for an internal transformation. The practice of inner forgiveness is another essential point. It has nothing to do with reconciliation, nor with allowing access again to someone who hurt you. It's about removing that person from the center of your energy and placing yourself back there. Forgiving is self-care, not weakness. It's like cutting the thread that connects you to something that is no longer part of your journey. And, to support this process, small breaks in pattern help a lot. More conscious breathing, a minute of groundedness to feel the ground, a safe space to express what's stuck in your throat. These actions seem simple, but they have a huge impact because they teach your body that it no longer needs to live in a state of alert. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there comes a point where releasing resentment stops being a technique and becomes identity, a new way of existing in the world, and that changes everything from the inside out. Comment below. That makes sense to me. And when you begin to notice the small changes within yourself, that instant when your breathing becomes a little lighter, your thoughts a little clearer, your body a little less tense, something inside you understands almost silently that liberation is not a distant idea. It's a daily choice, a subtle decision that redefines how you relate to your own story. The transformation doesn't arrive as a dramatic flash, but as an internal realignment, where resentment ceases to dictate the rhythm and you return to occupy the center of your energy. It's curious how, when we let go of what hurts, even our perspective changes. Clarity appears where there was once confusion, lightness enters where there was once a constant weight, and health, emotional, mental, and even physical, begins to reorganize itself as if it were finally receiving permission to exist. This journey has nothing to do with denying what happened, but with reclaiming what's been trapped behind the pain. It's almost like cleaning the backstage of your own memory, removing accumulated layers of resentment that for a long time seemed part of your identity. When you choose to let go even little by little, you open up space for new decisions, new possibilities, and a courage you may not even have remembered you had. Because the truth is simple yet profound. Liberation begins precisely the moment you decide to let go of what binds you, and this decision is internal, intimate, and absolutely transformative. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because there's an essential point that many people ignore. Resentment doesn't protect you. It only holds you back. And understanding this hidden truth completely changes how you move through life. And if you've made it this far, you can tell that something in this video has truly touched you. And that's exactly why I want to invite you, in a very simple way, to continue this journey with me. If this space makes you think, breathe differently, and see parts of yourself that were hidden, then subscribe to the channel, not out of obligation, but because this type of conversation deserves to continue, deserves a place in your routine. And since you've made it to the end, leave a comment saying, "This message was for me." It's a beautiful way to show your presence and, at the same time, demonstrate that this reflection resonated with you. If you'd like to leave a like, do it now. It helps this content reach other people who might need the same clarity. And before you go, there's a video here that perfectly complements what we talked about today. Click and stay with me there. Let's continue this transformation together.